everybody. It's a Tuesday night. Welcome into Odd Rhythm Fancy Sports. I'm Jamie, and that's Eli. I'm Jamie from at Odd Rhythm Fan, and that's just Eli. He has a Twitter, but I don't think he uses it anymore. But it's a Tuesday night. We're gonna be hitting those waiver wires and all that great fancy dancy stuff. I actually forgot to actually put in the
Yeah.
We should get
No,
some.
I haven't used Twitter in probably 5 years. So I don't know what the hell my handle would be, or X, whatever the hell it's called now.
Your handle would be the booty clapper.
Booty warrior.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah, we're actually let's see, we're gonna get into our normal typical stuff, kind of talk about the weekend a little bit, talk our leagues a little bit as well. If we're how things are going, playoff bounds and all that great stuff. Then we're gonna hit into some highlighted players from the weekend, Eli's gold star player and a player in a rise, and then we'll hit some waiver wires. Then we'll always do our DFS stuff always, and then we'll at the end we'll hit up that college spotlight of Malachi Washington. You know what's funny? I was actually trying to do some research on him, and there's actually another Malachi Washington that's actually in high school right now that might be coming into college. I think he's going to college. He'll be probably getting some offers here probably pretty soon or something like that. So I was like, is this guy a QB or is he a wide receiver? I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So, but yeah, he's a wide receiver.
We got a lot to get into tonight. Got some injuries too. We got to talk about, man. There's quite a few of those from this past cycle of games, and like Jay was saying, we'll get into Malik Washington and see where he might end up, and do some waivers and try to set you guys up for success, because damn it, we got 1 week left of fantasy in most people's leagues before the playoffs start. I would say 80% of the leagues, the playoffs are going to start next week. So,
yep.
Now this is make or break week. If you're 6-7, 7-6, 8-5, anywhere in that range, you're probably fighting for a playoff spot. The last one in your league, whether it's it's a 4-team playoff, 6-team playoff, 8-team playoff, you're probably fighting for that last spot. So we'll try to help you out, try to get you that last spot by finding some hidden gems. There's a couple guys tonight I'm really interested in talking about. So should be fun.
Are you?
Yeah, Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually been a weekend. I mean, there were some good games, and then there were some really, really crappy games, because I was like, the game that really depressed me the most was actually the Chargers. Yeah, because you would think the Chargers would blowing them out, and only 6 points. 6 points? You have to be freaking kidding me. I mean, that's a big. I mean, that's some horse shit right there.
Can I give that 2 thumbs down?
That is some horse shit.
That was garbage. I don't know. Do you? I mean, obviously, Red Zone. We come across these games. We do this show. We kind of have to follow a lot of these. I mean, that's unwatchable football. I'm sorry. In 2023, maybe in 1983, that would have been like a defensive plug, but Alan Moore, the OC, like, and the Patriots got a good defense, but man, that's awful. Only 6 points, and then vice versa, the Patriots couldn't move the damn football. You know what I mean? The Chargers have one of the worst offense, or they have players, but statistically they have one of the worst defenses in the league. So they should have, even a bad offense like the Patriots should have been able to put up at least 14 to 17 points. I mean, that's just awful. Yeah. It's like they've given up. I mean, just fire Belichick, fire Bill O'Brien, go play Malik Cunningham. I mean, Zappy ain't the answer. Mac Jones sure as hell ain't the answer. I heard Tim Boyle, he was cut. I heard Tim Boyle's looking for a job. Maybe Tim Boyle can get signed and start next week for the Patriots. I don't know, man. That was garbage.
Yeah, I think he's signed somewhere. I think he's signed someone's practice squad already. But I mean, yeah. I mean, Eckler only 18 yards. Eckler's only 18 yards. Allen only 58 yards. Quentin
Yeah.
Johnson 52 yards. I mean, this offense is a joke. I mean, I couldn't believe my eyes when I was seeing like some just jump ins here on red zone. I'm like, this game's only there's no points in the game after like this long. It's like makes me wonder what the hell's going on with the Chargers, like just in general. I mean, they actually should be putting up like 27 some odd points. I mean, there's no reason for this bullshit. I mean, Allen's a top tier guy. I mean, Quentin Johnson is a rookie, but still, I mean, I guess they must have not had their main guys that they usually typically use, which is just insane. And Herbert, I mean, he runs here and there. I just don't see why they couldn't get anything going. That just kind of shook me. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, probably by now you're probably like I mentioned last week, Quentin Johnson is probably can be a drop more than likely. I mean, yeah, he had a couple good. I think he had a couple targets. He had 7 targets, but in deeper leagues you're keeping him. But straight these little small leagues, you're not going to keep this guy.
I hate this. You know what? We agree on most stuff. I'm gonna have to throw something in. You guys flip sides again. Yeah. We like to flip. If you catch my drift, Donovan. It's Spiller season. It might be time. The way Austin Eckler has looked this year, I'm gonna get into him when we're doing the rise. Me and Jay have the risers and fallers. I'm gonna get into Austin Eckler. I'm gonna tear him up. I'm gonna tear him a new asshole. In terms of the receivers for the Chargers, Quentin Johnston, I mean, he got, in regular PPR format, I mean, he got over 10 points. I mean, it was like 5 grabs, 52 yards. I mean, if you're in a deep league and you have a bye, especially last week, I mean, you could have plugged him in. I know we talk trash about him because look at the people around him. Okay. Zay Flowers tearing it up. Even, mid-round picks. I know Tank Dell just got hurt, but like Tank Dell's been tearing it up. Jaden Reed from the Packers has been tearing it up.
Oh, even
it's Jordan Addison. Obviously, he was he's taking ahead of Jordan Addison. So no, and JSN and those kind of guys, they were all in the same group of picks, and so we expect more from Quentin Johnson. But deeper league, if you can get 10 points from a receiver on a bye week in a flex spot or something, I mean, I would take it. But yeah, definitely in 10 and 12, I wouldn't hold on to the guy. Just not living up to the hype at all.
No, I mean, I liked the Lions Saints game. That was pretty much a nice game. They were going back and forth. I mean, if you had Kamara, you were happy with Kamara.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 3 touchdowns in that game. I mean, it was a nice game. I mean, I was very, very surprised that the Lions pulled it off, but they pulled off a win that was, on the road and, against a team that, had some weapons here and there. And, bad thing that, Carr went out, brought in Winston, so they got the weapons, but it was a very close game. I liked it. If you had Jamar Gibbs, you were mediocrely happy with that game. A couple other quick games that I noticed, the Dolphins game, I'll get into a guy in that game too as well. But I mean, you were pretty well happy with Tua, the running back game. The wide was, pretty much, Tyreek Hill. I mean, Waddle didn't do a whole lot in this game. Commanders just suck overall. It's hard to roster these guys when Sam Howell is a guy who's actually just slinging the ball around left and right, and and the wide receivers ain't doing anything. It's very, very sad.
I mean, the Dolphins did what we thought they were gonna do. I mean, they were doing dolphin things. Tyreek was doing Tyreek things. Achane. However the hell. I mean, there's so many pronunciations. Just what is Achane, 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 A-Town down, whatever the hell he wants to be called. Achane was great. Stays healthy. Him and Mo start. I mean, that's lethal. You ain't stopping the Dolphins. I'm going to say it right now. If they stay relatively healthy, this team's going to the Super Bowl. This Dolphins team is going to go to the Super Bowl because you can't. I mean, especially if every game is at home and warm Miami. Yeah. Good luck with that. Good luck with the Chiefs, Ravens on there. That Dolphins team is lethal. And then Washington on the flip side. It's sad when you're leading fantasy guys like Antonio Gibson. You know what I mean? It's Sam Howell got a couple rushing touchdowns. I mean, that was something. So I mean, Howell, you know what? They're awful and they don't win any games. And but Sam Howell, like we had the list up, I think last week or 2 weeks ago. We had all the leading stat guys, the top 5 guy, the quarterbacks, the running backs. Sam Howell and Brian Robinson were both in the top 5 in their positions. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel's had a nice year, receiving. So Logan Thomas has kind of had a resurgence this year. So offensively, until this last game, they kind of shit the bed. But they've fantasy wise, they've held up their end, I feel. But yeah, just trash. I mean, they can't compete with a team like Miami.
Yeah.
Donovan Ravens or anything. All right. Yeah, I can see a Raven. I don't know. What about you, Jay? Do you think? What about a Ravens Dolphins AFC title game?
I could probably see it happening. I mean, the Ravens got a good. I mean, even though I'm a Ravens hater, I mean, the Ravens they have some talent. I mean, they're doing. I guess I should say they're doing Raven things. So I mean, I could probably see it happening. I mean, the Bills ain't really that. I mean, they're struggling very, very bad. I mean, the Bengals from last night. I mean, I was kind of surprised that they actually did anything. I figured the Jaguars were honestly going to run right all over them. So I mean, there's I mean, you can't leave out the Chiefs, but it's the Chiefs are, I think, probably third behind the Ravens. I mean, yeah, they were Super Bowl champions last year, but I mean, they're not even like blowing out people really. It's yeah. I mean, I like the Chiefs in general, but I just
hot take.
There's
hot take
not
here.
Much going.
Hot take here. If Jake Browning from the Bengals, he keeps playing like that or something close to that, Bengals might be the 4th best team in the AFC. Like even after the Burrow injury, as many weapons as they have, the defense. They look obviously they got roughed up by Jacksonville last night, but Bengals might be right there, man. Like Browning plays halfway because with Burrow, I think they would have went to the Super Bowl. I think the Bengals would have won the AFC if Burrow had been healthy. Yeah. So Bengals, they get more performances like that from Jake Browning. Yeah, I think the Bengals might be right behind that pack. The obviously Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs. I think are the top 3. But I mean, you trust Pittsburgh? You trust the Browns? No, I mean, come on, they're using backup quarter. I mean, Mitch Trubisky, Joe Flacco. The hell is this? Yeah. What is this? 2018? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell is going on?
Donovan says the only thing the Chiefs are bringing to the Super Bowl is a Swift Kelce.
Yeah, Donovan, he's talking about Swift and Kelce. Yeah, maybe, or another commercial. The guy, I swear, the guy's in like every other commercial.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you think about it, in the AFC North, you got Pittsburgh, Browns, Bengals. I mean, both those teams are 75. Bengals are 6-6. I mean, the Jaguars probably got their division wrapped up. I mean, if the Colts maybe do anything, Houston's still in the hunt too as well. Denver is a hard slicking. I mean, Chargers and Raiders you can just eliminate them right now. So I mean, it's right now you can probably look at a Chiefs, Jaguars, Ravens, Dolphins for now, and then maybe the Houston slips in there just out of curiosity, to see what they do. I mean, with them losing Dell, I still think they still got some good weapons around there. I mean, they still got some good weapons to actually keep the offense going and whatnot, scoring points. But I don't know. I like the Colts too. I mean, it's the playoff is coming.
Don't sleep Don't sleep on the Colts. Don't sleep on the Colts, man. I didn't put it on the bottom because I wasn't sure how long, Lawrence's injury was going to take him out for. Like if it's just going to be a week, 2 weeks, if he's going to play. So, yeah, Trevor Lawrence isn't in the scroll, but he was hurt last night. So we'll see what happens there. But CJ Beathard, I don't like a lot of Jacksonville's prospects. Obviously, if Lawrence would be out, but I think it'll just be a short-term thing. It'll hurt fantasy-wise because we got playoffs coming up, and that Lawrence injury might affect some fantasy matchups. But the Colts, yeah, I'm not sleeping on the Colts, man. They got weapons at Pittman Jr., Downs, Alex Pierce. Finally,
Yeah,
we've been waiting all year. That's your guy. You love Alex Pierce. Finally, he popped. Granson. He's not a terrible tight end. It seems like every few games he's getting 70 yards and a touchdown.
yeah.
So yeah, and Zach Moss is having a resurgence too. He's taken the baton from JT, and he's looked good. So yeah, don't sleep on the Colts. Colts might, if Lawrence is out for a couple weeks, Colts might catch up and might get to the top of this division. As crazy as it sounds.
Yeah,
Colts, with Tank Dell being gone, and everything's kind of evening out. It's going to be a dogfight.
Yeah, it will. These last few games will be more than likely. I mean, they're actually getting better and better with Minshew being there. I mean, yeah, if they had, I'm pretty damn sure if they had AR5 right now, I mean, they'd be in top of division right now. They'd be the better team right now. I mean, that'll be no guaranteed right there. That the Colts would be at the top of the division. Other than that, I mean, yeah, I mean, since we're kind of talking about that game, I mean, yeah, Pittman had a good game. Pierce had a good game. Downs didn't really have a good game there at all. So I think there's some guys in the waiver wire I might be mentioning too as well. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee, they didn't look too bad. Henry had his couple touchdowns, 102 yards. I think he kind of got injured there too a little bit toward the end. And Spears came in, take
Concussion. Yep.
So he had 75. He almost had 100 yards rushing. But yeah, I mean, if you got Spears, I got Spears in a couple leagues, so I'm pretty sure I'll probably be starting him in some leagues. I think the only guy you can really trust in, with Tennessee is probably Hopkins, Okonkwo, yeah, here and there. I mean, it's sad to say that Traylon Burks is a bust. It is. I think it's time to say he's a
bust.
These guys took him first round last year.
The jury's in. Bust.
He barely played last year. I mean, it's same thing this year again. I mean, he's barely playing. It's sad to say. I mean, the Tennessee traded up to get this guy, and he's been nowhere to be seen. So I mean, I guess it's safe to say they need some very, very help with the wide receiving core. So I mean, they're going to have to looking at some wide receivers in the draft this year. That's for damn sure. I mean, Westbrook, Ayin, they don't really have anybody.
I might have one. We might have one. We might have one in mind. If you're a Titans fan, stay tuned to the end of the stream here. Might have somebody that might help out your receiving core.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, the Arizona-Pittsburgh Steelers game was pretty much. I'll just kind of pick and choose here quick. It was a pretty good game. Connor had a pretty good game. He, had a couple touchdowns against him. 105 yards. He actually won the angry run again. He's a 3-peater, which is pretty crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's Greg Dortch wasn't nowhere to be seen. Rondale Moore. I mean, Trey McBride was getting a lot of the works. It's the Steelers, so I mean, I don't know what happened. Did Hollywood get hurt? Because I don't see any statistics from him at all. I don't remember anything on that. But as far as I know, is Trey McBride. Oh, that's right. They had a lot. They had a lot of rain delays in that game too.
He's dealing with a heel issue.
Oh, that's probably
right. Yeah, that was some crazy shit. Yeah, every other seemed like every other update on Red Zone was there's another lightning storm. There's there's flooding going on. It's just it was a weird game. Pickett got hurt, obviously, which isn't I don't think it's a big loss. Trubisky plays about the same. So if you
Yeah.
had guys, if you had Freiermuth, if you had Pickens, any of the running backs, Warren or Najee, I don't think both about the same level of guy. So it's not a fantasy drop off, but
Yeah.
it's trash. Cardinals look a lot, but you know what? If Kyler had been healthy all year, the Cardinals might be like 6-7.
Yeah.
They might be, they might be in the mix of a wild card. The Cardinal. They've actually, I think they're 2-2 since Kyler came back. They're respectable with Kyler out there. So, and James Conner's finally healthy, which is good. So, they're kind of firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, they are. Let's see here. The LA Rams pretty much they came in and took over that Cleveland Browns defense.
Beat
We
down.
had Cup and Puka going off. Stafford had a pretty good game. Elijah Moore looked pretty good. It sucked that Amari Cooper. I think he went out for a concussion. Tillman was kind of involved a little bit there. Jerome Ford. He actually had a pretty good day. He had the only touchdown. He had their one touchdown of the only one touchdown there. I don't remember any other touchdowns there. But yeah, as far as I know, he had only a touchdown. The rest of them must have been field goals, more than likely. But yeah, the Rams looked pretty good. Puka Cup had a pretty good game. And then that Robinson too as well. Demarcus Robinson. Not sure where he came from or if he's a rookie or not, but he had a touchdown. He was a little bit involved, but
No,
I don't know.
no, Jay.
I think
Mark Demarcus has been around the league. I remember him from Kansas City, and he's probably had a couple stops at this point. But at this point of the year, he's a healthy body.
Yeah.
Even if you're like desperate, you're in a 20-man league, and you're depleted with injuries. I might look at Demarcus Robinson, but obviously not in a smaller league with playoffs coming up. This is a big time crucial week. But Rams look damn good. Stafford's going to be in my segment coming up too. He's been tearing it up the last couple weeks. Browns are done. Put a fork in them. Flacco. For as much rust as he had, Flacco looks solid. If you're desperate, 16, 20 man, you're desperate for a quarterback or a backup. You could. But I think they sent, from what I was reading, though, I think they sent him back to the practice squad again. So it's it's a shit with half these teams, man. With all these quarterback injuries, it is a Class A shit show, absolute shit show. You got DTR starting 1 week, and then he's hurt. You got PJ Walker, and then you got another guys that belong in the XFL or USFL, whatever the hell they're called now. It's never ending. But yeah, put a fork in the Browns. They're done.
But yeah, it's the last couple of games here. I know we kind of skimmed over a couple other ones, but the Niners came in house and spanked all over the Eagles, so I'm all happy about that. The Eagles looked like garbage. They had some good plays in there. Don't get me wrong, but the Niners came in and showed them who was the man. And
what the dog doing?
Yeah, that's what they did. They came in and they showed him who the dog was. But yeah, I like that game. Let's see, a couple of Debo had pretty good. He had 2 touchdowns in that game. Kittle was involved a little bit. Ayukin had a good game with 1 touchdown in there. McCaffrey looked pretty damn good against the Eagles. I've seen some runs where he actually chipped off some yards there. He had a touchdown. But yeah, it's the Eagles. Dallas is upcoming week, and it's a Sunday night game, and I'm hoping Dallas can lay down the smackdown because we need this win because they beat us earlier this in the season, so we need this one to actually be able to get that, hopefully that first round bye. But yeah, other than that, Chiefs Packers game looked pretty good. The Packers looked pretty damn good there. Christian Watson had a touchdown. I think the Christian Watson had all the touchdowns. I mean, Dillon looked all right. He had the one touch. He didn't have no touchdowns, but Dobbs looked pretty good. Reed's always kind of a hit and miss, especially in deeper leagues. I mean, Reed was kind of here and there, but with maybe Watson he kind of had that hamstring, so with him maybe possibly missing or questionable. I mean, Dobbs and Reed are always going to be your second and third guy. Well, first or second when Christian Watson's out, but Reed's always going to be the third guy if Christian's there.
Yeah, no, Packers look great. Jordan Love, I mean, if you got shares of him, if you were patient, kept him, it's paying dividends now. He's been cranking the last 3 weeks. Chargers, Lions, now Chiefs. So I mean, he's on fire. They got young weapons up the ass. Wicks, I like. Jaden Reed, obviously. Watson's, he's been on and off hurt all year. I think he's hurt again, so he's questionable for the Giants game on Monday. So we'll see what happens there. Tucker Kraft, he's been getting some targets. I mean, he might be in a segment later in the show too. I've been impressed. And obviously the Chiefs, it's no weapons. I mean, they got defense is solid. I think Mahomes might be dealing with some trouble at home. Kelsey's distracted. Lots of stuff going on with them, and I think the Chiefs are gonna, fantasy wise, I would gotta keep playing Kelsey. Rashee Rice is like the one and only. I don't trust anybody else. I don't trust that Watson guy. I don't trust Tony. I don't trust Sky Moore. Any of these other guys, MVS obviously don't trust him. So it's a Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce show.
Yes, and we did highlight Rashee Rice here last week. So I mean, if you missed some of that, just go over to our YouTube playlist, and you can see the timelines of some of the guys from months ago to just 7 days ago. So go ahead and check that out too as well. But yeah, other than that, we kind of, we already talked about the Bengals Jaguars game a little bit. So let's jump into our highlighted players for the weekend, and we'll continue this rodeo on the way. Yes.
Ooh.
So my first,
ride him, doggy.
So I want to jump in with Devon Achane or Achane, or we're just gonna yank a chain. I really don't know, but this guy,
yank the chain, crank it.
Yeah, right. Oh, a chain. We'll just call this guy the chainsaw.
I think it was like a Family Force 5 song or something.
It is. Yeah, something like, dude. I have to look up that song now, dude. That song that song rips. But yeah,
that was good shit back in the
Devon, if you missed out on Achane, he missed about 4 weeks, and then he had a bye. So I mean, you didn't have this guy for 5 weeks. He came back against the Raiders, had 1 carry, then he ended up getting injured, was out the whole game. He was questionable for this upcoming week, and he put up 28 points if you actually started him. He was 54% started this weekend. I'm sure there's some guys who probably had him in their bench. You're like, oh, brother. But I mean, other than that, he put up 28 points. He was out 61% snaps. 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, he had 4 targets in the passing game there, 30 yards, give or take. But yeah, I mean, Washington was 17th against the rush, so I mean, they were just kind of mediocre, 50-50, and they kind of give up runs. They can shut down runs too as well. But if you missed out on Achane, and I'm pretty sure he helped you maybe win your week. If you didn't have him, you're probably just pulling your hairs out with what he did. I'm thinking here, with us kind of getting into the playoff push here, he might be a valuable asset for you going forward, just because you have Tennessee, Jets, and Dallas coming up in the playoffs. And Tennessee is actually giving up 106 rushing yards. That's 13 best, but I mean, they're kind of mediocre. I mean, Dolphins are at home, so more than likely, you could probably end up seeing him actually probably replicating these same, stats that he had, maybe 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then they play the Jets, who are actually 28th worst against the rush. So I think he's going to benefit some of you guys in the playoffs. And then I think he might be a sit against Dallas because they play Dallas too as well. And this last couple of games, Mustard was against the Jets 60%, and then this last game, he actually was only 38% in the snap count. So I don't know. I'm thinking Devon Achane will be a success for some of you guys. I know I'll be probably making sure he's in my lineups going forward because I'm liking his last couple hoorahs for your playoff push. But yeah, what do you think there, Slick?
I most like combos, you got to pick one. That combos, you got to pick. You can't start both of them. This is the rare ones. This is the rare one when you can. You can play Mostard. You can play Achane. You can play all their receivers too. Why stop there? Waddle and Tyreek. If you got both of them, play them. If you got both these running backs, play them. This Dolphins offense is lethal. Okay, and this guy, I mean, I would have understood if people had got impatient. If you're in a year-to-year redraft league, you're not in a keeper or dynasty league. If you got impatient, made a move, I kind of get it, but this was like he's better than Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams was another guy that was banged up that if you waited for him, he's paying dividends too. But I mean, Achane, he's got like star written all over him. Like if they get a fantasy playoffs, he might carry you. I mean, this guy might carry you to the promised land. I really mean. I mean, he puts up even 20 points. He puts up 20 points as a running back. These next few weeks, and he's in your starting lineup or in your running back or your flex spot. I mean, you're carrying home the title. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, and it's very doable with their schedule coming up. I could see Miami cranking out some more 35, 40-point games.
Oh yeah, most definitely, and they're at home these next 2 weeks. So I mean,
Tennessee ain't stopping them. So
the Jets don't know what the hell they're doing. They can't figure out which QB they're playing. Zach Wilson's pretty much giving you guys
a barrel with the Jets.
Yeah, he's pretty much giving them the middle finger, and he's like, I'm done. He's like, I'm done playing these little rinky dink peekaboo. Here I am. Nope, it's like whack-a-mole. Dunk, you're done. Oh, next mole, okay, you're done. It's just one of these things that it's like enough's enough, and I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be cut. So he's probably like done. He wants to go somewhere else. I mean, the Jets just look awful. It's sad to say that. I mean, Zach Wilson might be that he might be their only.
Get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of there. That Jets game coming up. That I mean, it was Jamie. It was ugly on Black Friday. I mean, it's going to be uglier. It'd be probably 42-0. I mean, I don't see that they're probably going to start Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon, by the way, was on Seattle's practice squad earlier in the year. He was cut by the Rams. I think he started a game. So I mean, this is and he's probably going to be starting for the Jets coming up because Zach Wilson refuses to go in. I don't blame him. Get me the hell out of here. The Jets are they're going to lose out, man. 4-13. 4-13.
Yeah.
It's awful. Garbage. Yeah. So Achane's got a couple favorable matchups coming up. So yeah, just keep plugging him in the lineup. Don't even debate it. He is an automatic start every week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of all I kind of had with him. I mean, with him kind of, with his injury, I thought he was done. I was pretty well happy that, he came back, and I was like, So it kind of gives me some praises that he's actually, healthy, and you can actually. The sad part is that he's actually on my taxi squad in Dynasty. So I should maybe try to get him out of the taxi squad and try to, put him in my lineup somewhere. But I don't know, I might just leave him there too. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe I might trade him off. Get some draft picks. So I mean, I don't know. There's some guys that I like coming up in this draft. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, that's the Jack the Ripper of Achane. Um. Anyways, all right.
Chainsaw Chop.
Yeah, there we go. Chainsaw Chan. That's his new nickname now. All right.
We
The
got
the next guy up is actually it's I
Christian
know
Watson.
Christian
The good
Wat-
Watson.
yes, not the horrible one. I think we talked about I think I talked about Reed this just like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I talked about Jaden Reed, from the Packers, and I was liking him, and Donovan should be happy because there's another Packers in the highlight. You know I was when the season started with this kid, and I drafted him in a league, and I actually dropped him like I think it was mid-season or something. After 4 or 5 weeks, I said enough's enough. I totally dropped his ass. I was tired. I had enough of it. I went out and like got I had Dobbs, and I ended up picking up Reed, who actually benefited me in most of my leagues. Especially in deeper leagues, I got Reed. But the last couple weeks here, I mean, Watson has actually been putting up, touchdowns the last 3 weeks, which I'm surprised about. I was kind of like shocked. I was like, what? Where the hell are all these freaking touchdowns coming from? Um, but yeah, he put up 27 points. He was out in 73% of snaps this weekend. He saw 9 targets, 7 receptions, 71 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a yards per catch was 10.1 yards per catch with this guy. Donovan says, I am hard avoid on Watson, big talent, but can't stay healthy. It is. I mean, think about what this guy did
Agreed.
what he did last year. We were all hyped up thinking he was going to repeat what he did last year, being that he should be the number one guy in this offense, and he came out not looking to be that number one wide receiver for this offense, and it pretty well showed that the Packers didn't really know what the fuck they were really doing. So, but yeah, I mean, I still don't know much about Dateon Wicks. I mean, he's kind of like almost a smaller, like another Reed. He's another little small guy, little dump off pass guy. Kind of looks like from what I kind of seen a little bits, little pieces of. Anyways, he's kind of like another little Reed. But um, the other thing too here is right now, I think I might be mentioning him later on too as well, but he's 76 rostered, 41% started. His last week game, he actually had 20 some odd points, 7 targets, 5 receptions, almost 100 yards in that game against Detroit, and 1 touchdown. So I don't know. Hey, too bad he hurt his hamstring. So who knows? He might be questionable. I mean, if he's out there, or I mean, if we
He's
have to play him, I think
he,
I would
he's
play him.
he's shown flashes. You see why I projected to have, 80, 85 catches, maybe double-digit touchdowns. I mean, the guy's got all the tools. He's a big, deep, he's exactly what they need. They have all these the kind of smaller 5'11", little shifty receivers. They need a big 6'4", vertical threat. He's that. And he's, of course, it's another hamstring thing. It's him. I don't know who's more snake bitten this year for the Packers, Aaron Jones or Christian Watson. Obviously, you're just gonna have to stay patient, because if he does play, if this is just if it's a 1 week thing, and if he's gonna start again week 15, and he's ready for fantasy playoffs, you got to stick with him. I mean, because that's a great stat line. 3 touchdowns the last 2 games.
3 games.
Yeah, we'll see if how that hamstring does. But I'd rest him. I mean, they don't need him against the Giants. I mean, I think the Packers can just beat them straight up. They don't need Christian Watson. But maybe not even for us, not even for the Bucks. They might be able to just beat us too. But definitely going to need him for the stretch. And if you're a fantasy owner, you're going to need him too. So for the playoff stretch, especially in deeper leagues. I mean, he's deeper leagues. He's an absolute must start every week. 16 man for sure.
Yeah. The playoff bounds here. They play the Giants, 17th worst or best. They gave up about 241 yards against the pass. Week 15, they play Tampa Bay, 29th against the pass, giving up about 277 yards.
Yeah.
And then they play awful. Yeah. Then they play Carolina, who are the worst, shittiest team, but they have the best pass defense, only giving up 192 yards against the pass, which is second best, which is crazy. I mean, how in the hell are these guys stopping these wide receivers, which blows my mind. But yeah, it might be a good game. They're at Carolina.
1-11.
kind of blows my mind just a little bit. I'm like, what? No, I'm like, no freaking way, man. That's just insane. But those are my highlighted guys. Is there any other thoughts on Christian Watson before we get on to your Gold Star player and risers of the week? No? All right. Well,
No, I do not. But I got a Gold Star. I got it. Not for Christian Watson. Sorry. You gotta stay healthy to get those. Okay. I don't just hand those out to just anybody. I hand them out to great performances like this. Wait for it. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. It's up. Okay.
Your internet is lagging. That's why. and you froze.
Yeah, I had the internet guy over here, and he said I got a perfect signal. So, if you want to help, if you want to donate, help get Uncle Eli a nice new computer, let me know. Because I can't even plug straight because it won't read. I have to update the drivers or some shit because I can't plug I can't plug the Ethernet cable directly into my laptop. It won't read. So, bear with me. I did have a professional come out here and look. So, one of these weeks we'll get it perfect. Just about as perfect. James Conner. We are waiting, Eli. Well, you should be waiting because I got the goods here. James Conner. 2 touchdowns, 105 yards, finally healthy. No more scrubs for the Cardinals. I mean, this is the team they should have had all along. Kyler healthy, James Conner healthy. This is a solid team. Okay, they weren't a solid team, week 4, but now they are. So I wasn't surprised by the Pittsburgh win. And for the season, as much as he's been banged up, he's still got 631 yards. I mean, not great with touchdowns or anything, but he might get to 1,000 yards if he cranks out some decent games. The final 4 games of the year, he might get to 1,000 yards. If you want to build a PC, I know a guy. Ooh, I might need it. We deal with this just about every week. It's for and as you know, I'm kind of a caveman, as you guys know. So, we'll all suggestions are taken. Any thoughts on James Conner, having a big week and earning my Gold Star.
Yeah, ooh. Oh, sorry, I was looking at a Trevor Lawrence headline here, quick. James Conner. I mean, especially in deeper leagues, if you have him, I mean, he hasn't been bad, but I mean, he's a body that everyone needs, which is a given. I just wanted to look up some of his statistics real quick while we are on his. So he's actually had 4 touchdowns here this last couple games. Oh, 4 touchdowns in general. Okay, 4 touchdowns in general. I mean, that's
full season. Yep.
Yeah, as bad as the Cardinals are, this is I'm surprised they're actually doing anything with them mixing up everything to, Kyler kind of coming back. With Kyler coming back, it makes the offense look I mean, the offense looks a little bit more stable a little bit just because Kyler just runs like a chicken with his head cut off. And I mean, he usually does throw the ball here and there, and then the running backs are kind of like second in nature. Um, but I mean, this last game, with Connor like kind of going back home to the Pittsburgh Steelers and kind of like thrashing it into their like face, like, "Hey guys, here's what you're missing out on." I mean, Connor was actually a legit guy when he was playing with the Steelers. I know because
He dunked on him.
I had I had shares of this guy, So I mean, I had shares of this guy, and then he got injured, and he struggled to stay healthy and whatnot. So I think it's just been an uphill battle, especially with the Cardinals in general, just being up and down, up and down, up and down, and you just hope to actually get a good game from Connor. I mean, that's just my aspect of it in general. I mean, he's had a few good games. I mean, earlier in the season, the first 3 games of the season, pretty much double digits, and then the last pretty much he's been missing game. I think he was out in IR. He missed like 4 games. The last 3 games, at least double digits. I mean, it's not, eye popping or anything here, but this last game, yeah. I mean, the only 2 games he's actually had good games is against Dallas when they came in and just played Dallas, which should have been an easy game for us. And Pittsburgh came in, so he's in bye this upcoming week. So I give the Cardinals a good chance to get healthy. In my eyes, get some shit together, get some guys coordinated. Hopefully, their rookie can come back. Get some kind of offense weapons back so that they can, Michael Wilson. I mean, the rookie. I mean, he's came in spurts a little bit. I mean, Rondale Moore here and there, he came in spurts. So, I mean, just get these guys together. Get these guys kind of just, even though they're pretty much bottom of the barrel, but I mean, at least do something to like give us something for the playoffs or something. But that's kind of my outlook. They play, so he's got the Bears, Philly, and Seattle next. So it's a rough uphill battle for James Conner the next couple of weeks, I think. But I can see he could probably get a touchdown in there. Don't get me wrong. So I mean,
I like him these. Yeah, I think in any those are favorable matchups. Even Philly's defense is kind of their weak spot on the team. So these next 3 matchups, coming up with the playoffs, I think he's an automatic start in any size league. 10 man, 12 man, whatever size league. James Conner at this point, automatic start.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it time for a rise up? Rise up! Rise up! Rise up, everybody! And give me some better Wi-Fi. What? Rise up! Yes, Mr. Jackrabbit. Yeah, Mr. Jackrabbit himself, Mr. Tucker Kraft, the man of the hour. And he wasn't doing very much of anything earlier in the season. Obviously, Luke Musgrave is the starter. He's been on IR. I think he might be back week 16 or 17. So
yeah, I think
but yeah, you definitely have at least 2 more, minimum 2 more games of Tucker Kraft being the feature tight end with the Packers. So it's obviously showcased there in the stat line. Weeks 1 to 10 only had 5 total targets. 3 catches, 11 yards. I mean, you and I could get 3 catches, 11 yards in the NFL. The last 3 weeks, 10 targets, 7 receptions, touchdown, 84 yards. So it's didn't have a terrible game this past Sunday against the Chiefs. I'd like a little bit more than 3 catches and 30 something yards. I mean, we'd like, to be able to start him over a lot of other tight ends. We're going to need, 5, 65 and a touchdown. I think that's more of like a stat line of what the elite tight ends are doing, or at least the top 12, starters in just about any size league. So, but he's definitely on the come up, and he deserves definitely a backup spot on your team in fantasy, just in case something does happen to a Kelsey, Laporta, Hawkinson, one of the studs. You want somebody in reserve, and he's I think he's perfect for that. Third round pick out of SDSU. Obviously, we're a little biased. We're a South Dakota show, South Dakota boys. So this is kind of our guy here. He's from a little town, kind of middle of nowhere. Timberlake is like in the sticks, man. That's like it's like, where's Buddy at? That's like Buddy country. Right? I think he missed 6 games. Yeah, I think he missed 6. Yeah. I think he missed 6 games last year. So I didn't put his 2022 stats up, although South Dakota State did win the FCS championship last year. So I didn't put up his 2022 stats. I put up his 2021 stats. 65 catches, 773 yards, 6 touchdowns. So and for a subdivision tight end, those are damn good numbers. He was one of the top, if not the top, tight end in FCS 2 years ago. So the guy's always had the potential. He got the size, and with him and Musgrave going forward, it's like I said, he's got a couple more weeks of being the featured tight end. And if Watson's going to be out, they're going to need a big target. You got these shifty little guys. You got Reed and Wicks, and even Dobbs isn't that big. So if you need to go out and pick up a tight end, Tucker Kraft would be my recommendation. He's a riser. He's a rising up. Good Lord. Any thoughts on Mr. Tucker?
I was looking at it. I wanted to see his. So he didn't play too much in 2022. He had 0 touchdowns. Looks like he had a couple. He had. Actually, never mind. He actually had 3 touchdowns, 348 yards, 27 receptions. So I mean, when he last year, pretty much 53, 44, 17, 69. So I mean, he was kind of involved a little bit here and there with the Rabbits offense. But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we're FCS, so I mean, we're a smaller school, I mean, Missouri, the Missouri Valley, conference. So yeah, that's crazy. I mean, 6-3, what he had last year. I mean, he must have been kind of somewhat injured. I mean, pass game rush, the pass game and the rushing game, with the Jackrabbits, with us just running over everybody, and we're probably running over everybody again this year. So who knows? It might be a South Dakota championship, which would be kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, other than that, with Musgrave missing some time, yeah, I mean, I think the Packers actually have 2 great tight ends going forward for hopefully the next 5-6 years. Hopefully, they got 2 good tight ends going that they got. They can kind of mold and get these guys crafted. I mean, yeah, they will have some great tight ends. So, but yeah, that is my thoughts on Tucker Kraft. Anyways, I think I did start him in a DFS lineup. I think I got him in a couple DFS lineups. Got him cheap.
Oh, you too. So did I. I did too.
The only downfall was me is
solid, Gabe. Solid. We're gonna need more though.
Yeah, I played A.T. Perry, which I shouldn't have. If I would have maybe tried to get Puka in there or something, or a guy from the Niners, that McDonald, or one of those 2 guys. If I would have gotten them in my lineup, I probably would have cashed in one of my tournaments. So, oh well, it is what it is. All right, is it time? I think it is time. I think it's time
next
for us.
Week? Yeah,
next week.
Waiver time.
But what?
Better take a break here.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take a short break here. We'll be back in like 30 seconds. Yeah. So hang tight. If you need to go use the restroom, go use the restroom. Get a little something to drink, refresh that throat, and all that good stuff. Dehydrate a little bit. So yeah, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports. I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We're gonna hit some waivers for you. It's Tuesday night. I know there's some night owls up there, so I mean, come on now, guys. Jump in that chat. We got some chats kind of going around. So I mean, just get in there and just come join us. Join the chat a little bit. But yeah, the other thing is, don't forget to actually join our Discord. It's actually in the link below.
Come, my
And
pretties.
our Discord's always open, so I mean there's a lot of stuff up in there. So come and join our Discord. If you don't follow our pod, we're on Apple, Google, and Spotify as well. So go over there, subscribe to us, hit the bell for notifications. I try to at least get this episode, after the stream usually gets uploaded. I try to just do a lot of things, in between after the shows are over with. And this guy is totally just dancing over there. But yeah, we'll get into some waivers. Donovan says, I ain't going nowhere. I'm here for the amazing sponsors. Yeah, we are sponsors. Him and I, we're just two characters. We're two clowns.
Well, you're gonna have to wait a minute there, Big D. You're looking at the sponsors. But let's get into some waiver 5 coming up. Jay's got his sleeper 6. We need to coin these. We need to make some damn t-shirts, some hoodies. Spread the gospel. But like he was saying, go back and watch old episodes and share this. I mean, you got time. It's only 8:15 Central Time, so got a little less than 4 hours to get those waivers in. If you're in our time zone, you're in Eastern time zone, a little bit less time. But share this once it's done or right now. Get it out there. So I preface it. I start off with the waivers. So I keep everything under 20%. So it's always under 20%, just so that in any size league, 10, 12, 16, whatever size league you're in on the Yahoo side of things. And like I said, I think it's comparable to ESPN and some of the other platforms that have fantasy football. And like I said, Jay does the sleeper side. Sleeper's another big platform for fantasy football. So I keep it under 20% so that these guys are universal. I don't want you to run out and think that you can, hey, I think I can still get Jaden Reed, right? I can still get Devon Achane. No, you ain't getting them. You ain't sniffing them. Okay. If you're gonna do that, that should have been like week 2 or you know what I mean. Sorry, maybe went out with the bathwater. Week 14 coming up here. So I'll start off because there's so many quarterback injuries right now, and some of the other guys I see they're filling in. Flacco was a 1-week guy, went back to the practice squad. Tommy DeVito was named the starter with the Giants, but just doesn't have the weapons to work with, and he's still a younger guy, just not.
Stay riot though.
I mean, it's a nice story, but Tommy DeVito, Josh Dobbs. Yeah, right. Josh Dobbs. I don't know if he's going to maintain his starting job or not. The Jets. I mean, who the hell are they going to? They gonna start Brett Rippon, like saying Boise State. He ain't going to tear it up. So just thinking about all the other quarter. Even Trubisky. I think Jake Browning is a better option than Trubisky. That's why I put him here. Trubisky was another guy in the running. Obviously, Gardner Minshew is at 23% now. So Minshew's percentages have gone up, so I can't include him in this. Obviously, Minshew would be the number 1 pick if he was a few percentage points less, but nonetheless, Jake Browning, 11%. I put it number 1, just with the weapons he's working with. And not every week is going to be over 300 yards and a touchdown, but if you're just looking for if you're in a desperate spot because of quarterback injuries, and you do a lot worse with. I mean, the guy's working with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. They got Chase Brown in the mix now. Chase Brown was another guy who I was contemplating putting in the 5 this week. So he might be in Jay's sleeper, but Chase Brown's starting to get involved in the offense. So Bengals are stacked. And Browning should be decent going forward these next 5 games, I would assume. Not great, but I expect, some decent numbers. Number 2, Parker Washington. He came out of nowhere. He really did. Once Christian Kirk was hurt last night, guy had 6 grabs, 61 yards and a tutty. He wasn't even on my radar. I'll be honest. Like, I did this list, and I didn't know what to make of Jake Browning. I know he'd been a career backup. So these top two guys. I actually had to like redo the list that I made last night. I always send Jay pictures. List. Parker Washington. If Kirk's going to be out for a little bit, Calvin Ridley's kind of fallen off. I don't know. I expected more. I mean, he was really cranking earlier in the season. I expected more from him. And with Trevor Lawrence potentially being out for a game or two, that might hurt Evan Ingram. Any of the guys that Lawrence has built a rapport with, that might hurt them a little bit. But I'm thinking a younger guy like Parker Washington might benefit. He's worked with Beathard probably, in the preseason. Obviously, I remember Beathard, and I remember Parker Washington too. So we'll see if he can replicate that, going forward. If he's kind of bumped up the depth chart now with Kirk being out, so we'll see what happens there. I think it's worth kicking the tires on, especially in a deeper league. I wouldn't, if you're in a 12-man league, I'm not going to run out and get Parker Washington. But if you're in a deeper league and you're desperate, I'd go snag him up, throw him on the bench, and see what happens. He pops one more game, and playoff time, you might want to stick him in. Jonathan Mingo, he was in my list last week, and he's in the number 3 spot again. Didn't move. First time I think I've had the same player in the same spot in the 5. I think he was at 6% last week, up to 7%. So I think people are slow on him because of Bryce Young and the perception how bad the Panthers are, and they are. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is an awful team, but somehow they can stop the pass on defense, and somehow Jonathan Mingo is the number 1 guy. He just is. Thielen kind of falling back to earth from where he was beginning of the year. His age is catching up to him. DJ Chark, he's always been an to me. And Jonathan Mingo is the young rook, and I think he's finally starting to come into his own. And that's not saying much with the Panthers, but being a number 1 target on a team it's got to be worth something, because they don't have any. Their tight ends are junk. Running back, Chuba Hubbard, is decent, but Miles Sanders is junk. So where else are they going to get offense from? So Mingo, I put at 3. Alex Pierce, we've been waiting all season for this. We've been waiting for the 100-yard touchdown game for him to pop, because we knew, maybe with AR5 it would have happened sooner. But it's good to see. He's been their number 3 receiver, kind of in waiting. Finally, came through. Another guy in a deeper league, worth a roster spot, probably on the bench. I wouldn't start him or anything. It's going to take more than one game, especially playoff. I mean, this is crunch time, especially playoff time. Can't trust a guy with just one game. I'm going to need a couple to be able to comfortably throw him in the lineup. But in a deeper league, I'd snag him up. And then Dontavian Wicks, number 5. He's had a couple decent games where he's been targeted pretty or getting a fair share of the targets. Christian Watson's, let's say he's out. I would assume Christian Watson's going to be out. They don't need him against the Giants. Okay, start going down the list. So you got Tucker Kraft, who's still getting worked in. Jaden Reed's a rookie. Romeo Dobbs, he'll have a game here and there. Maybe the Giants or Bucks, one of those 2 games, he gets a 1-2 touchdown game. Who knows? But I think Wicks is going to be the standout, especially this Giants game and maybe the next couple weeks. I mean, they got Carolina after Tampa, so I mean, a lot of cupcakes coming up for Green Bay. So I put Wicks at 5, and he's at 1%. Forgot to mention Alex Pierce is 2%. So all these guys you should be able to grab in just about any size league, and I'll see what Jamie's got to say. But that's my fab 5.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't mind. I mean, especially if you're in a pinch, I don't mind Browning there. Washington, I mean, yeah, it was nice that he actually had a touchdown in this game. I'm still kind of skeptical. I mean, if Kirk is missing time, I mean, yeah, he will be a valuable asset in that offense. But I mean, if Trevor Lawrence is gone, the backup's going to have to toss the ball to somebody, and I was just trying to think, with Mingo. I mean, I've seen a couple good catches from Mingo there. Alec Pierce. I know we've talked about him this summer quite a bit. He was another guy that we wanted him to actually come out and actually be balling out. Have a pretty much a second year 900 some odd yards with 5 touchdowns or some shit like that, you know. Wicks, yeah, he's kind of been involved in the offense here and there when Watson isn't there. I mean, he's only seen a few targets here and there, and I mean, the most targets he's actually seen was against the Chargers with 5 targets. You know, so I mean, with the little bit of targets he does see, and I mean, he's ripping off some pretty big yardage, after the catch. So I mean, he's explosive in those aspects. Um, I was just gonna say here, I was thinking, if it comes to like Washington, would you like these guys over Washington or Rashid? Yes or no?
Yeah, because I honestly with Jameis being in there because Carr's been ruled out because of concussion for this coming game. So and they got Carolina. So I think A.T. Perry has more of a. I think A.T. Perry is a better option than Shaheed, just with Jameis, because I saw how they played together against the Vikings a few weeks ago. So I would, to sum up your answer, yeah, I would take Washington over Shaheed.
Wan'Dale Robinson or Washington?
That's a wash, but
Okay.
gun to my head, I have to pick one of the two. I'm gonna go Wan'Dale. I think Wan'Dale Robinson.
Bateman or Washington? I just got a couple more.
It's another wash.
Yep.
No pun intended. There's a lot of washing going on here. I'll put Washington in there because Odell and Flowers are really starting to get targets with Baltimore, and Bateman I don't trust. I just don't.
Trey Palmer or Washington?
Washington. All the target you saw Sunday, all the targets are going to Mike Evans. So
they
have one receiver apparently.
Alec Pierce, Cedric Tillman, and then Jalen Hyatt. Yes or no?
Of those three, I'd take Alec Pierce. I called him Alex. I should probably correct myself here. So yeah, Alec Pierce of those three. Tillman, I think he had 2 grabs, against the Rams, which is, he's still on the rise. He's still rookie, so I'm not gonna. And same thing with Hyatt. I'm not gonna bang on these guys too much. But yeah, Pierce is definitely the best play because he's the number 3 guy in a pretty good passing offense.
Yeah, I just kind of figured I'd just kind of do like a yes or no, kind of like if you would take Washington over some of these guys that are on some of your waivers. I don't know. I think Mingo might be taken in some of these leagues too as well. So yeah, just some guys that are on waivers. If you have to pick or choose, those are just kind of yes or no. So kind of help you out just a little bit over there. But yeah, we'll jump on over to the sleeper side here real quick. I got the 10-man, 12-man, and then those deeper leagues too as well. Yes, the sleepers. All right.
Yep.
So here's my 10-man. Some of it might be pretty similar. Some of them might be higher or lower. So these are just go out and just check just in case that we've just talked about Jake Browning. Go check him out, see if he's out there if you need him, especially in probably 2 quarterback leagues as well. Then I got Matt Stafford, 50% rostered. He had 32 points this last weekend. He had 3 touchdowns against the Browns. Can't go wrong with him there. Zeke Elliott, he's only 45% rostered. He had 17 points this weekend. He rushed for 52 yards against the Chargers, but he has Pittsburgh and Kansas City coming up next too as well. Those might be difficult matchups as well. But I mean, with Stevenson probably missing a little bit of time. Zeke Elliott is probably your next man up in this situation. So if he is out there, you might have to take a look at him. Dameon Pierce, yeah, he might be 62% rostered. I kind of like him in this situation. He only had 10 points, but he had 41 rush and with a touchdown as well against the Browns. or not the Browns, the Broncos. Sorry, guys. But his next matchups are at the Jets and at the Titans. So I think these are a very logical, nice matchups for him. I mean, I don't think Singletary is really kind of penning out what they want. But yeah, and then I have Christian Watson that's 75% rostered. He had 27 points this weekend, 2 touchdowns, and we just mentioned his next couple of games. Giants and Tampa Bay are good matchups if he does end up coming back. And then I put the Texans in there as well. 8% rostered at the Jets. I think that's a good matchup. The Jets don't know what the hell they're doing. So I think that's a good chance for them for this defense to eat at. Sack them as much as they can, get some interceptions and whatnot, some fumble recoveries. But yeah, those are kind of some. I have some notable notes here. Maybe Mitch Trubisky, Keaton Mitchell is out there as well, and then we have Goddard as well. He might be coming back here pretty soon. I would think if you got a roster spot, I would hold on to him. He's out there, and then. Isaiah Likely, he had his bye, so people maybe dropped him. I would maybe try to snag him up if all possible, if you need a tight end as well. But yeah, those are just for your 10, 12-man leagues. Your thoughts real quick before we head on to the deep side of things.
Yeah. Obviously, we agree on Jake Browning. Christian Watson, that seems insane to me that he wouldn't at least be on somebody's bench. But I mean, hell, if he's there, I mean, go snag him up. Zeke with Stevenson's questionable. I know the Patriots offense is just the drizzling shits, but Thursday night, that's a quick turnaround. So I could easily see Ramondre Stevenson being out, and then Zeke's going to get the majority of the carries. He's been solid. A lot of he's on what I have one share of him in sleeper, and I've seen a lot of like 15 carry, 50, 52 yard kind of weeks from him, and a few catches. So just solid. You get solid. I mean, this ain't 2018 Zeke, 2016 Zeke. But no, 45%. Yeah, go grab him. Dameon Pierce, same thing. I think he's kind of won his job back from Singletary. So the Singletary experiment's over. So Dameon Pierce, you can probably feel comfortable going and picking him up. I don't know about starting him, but for sure on the bench. Texans defense, that's a great play. I'm glad Jay put that in there. We got people always say we hate defense and kickers. No, we hate kickers. No, we like defenses. Yes. Texans are gonna savage Brett Rippon, Zach Wilson, whoever hell, somebody else off a practice squad that they signed. Who knows? And then that seems like another stretch that Matt Stafford would only be rostered in 50% of leagues. Matt Stafford, the last 2 weeks, has been probably the top fantasy quarterback, honestly. Him and Stroud are just, the past 2 weeks, not the full year, but Stafford's really been tearing it up. So, get him, and you could probably start Stafford right away.
Yeah, more than likely. Especially if you lost a guy like Trevor Lawrence, Stafford would be your next best guy to actually snag up. That's the way I would go. And then let's jump off to the deep end here, where it's very, very slim, hard pickings, because when you're in 16 man league, you want to get the best guys as early as you can, and you're scratching and crawling at some of these guys, and you just don't know what the hell to do. And well, for some
deep cuts.
Right, they are some deep cuts, but we have to glue them back up, because we got to bandage those suckers up. We have Minshew at 26%. He's out there.
Sew me up.
Yeah. And I got Parker Washington. I know Eli mentioned him earlier, and I think, I think from what I was seeing, he's more likely your best option out there, especially with the backup quarterback who's probably been tossing the ball with this guy, so they might have a rapport together already, since these guys are not really seeing much time. So I mean, that's always like a blessing there. Then we got Alec Pierce at 7%. He's finally, we already talked about him, that he's already had he's had 19 points here this last weekend, 100 yards and a touchdown. He had 6 targets. So with Downs kind of not really being irrelevant like he has been here the last, month and a half or whatever hell it is. Pierce actually we actually was alive for once, which is totally crazy. And then Chase Brown, 6% rostered,
We got
51
a
yards.
live one.
Yeah. He was on 15% of snaps, 6 points, but I've liked this kid. I've seen this kid play. I've watched some of his games. I think he came from Syracuse, I think. Dumbfound moment at the moment, but no. Yeah, I had him on my
that was Sean no, that was Sean Tucker. That was Sean
Yeah.
Tucker from Syracuse. I think Chase Brown was Illinois.
Yes. I have all the colors mixed up, because they're all similar colors, Yes, Illinois is correct.
No,
Yeah. Yeah. I know I was eyeing him a little bit to see where he went. Especially Eric Gray, because he was a Sooner, so just a lot of these guys that you kind of watching to kind of see where they land. And Chase Brown, I liked him. I think he had 1,000-some-odd yards last year. So he's a capable back of just coming in and tearing things up. And he's with the little bit of the limited carries he is getting. He looks good. And then I don't mind the LA Rams. It's supposed to be the Texans at 8% there, so that was my mistake. Don't go out and pick up the Rams. And then I got
we fuse the two defenses together in one mega defense with Will Anderson on one side and Aaron Donald on the other. Mega pass
there we
rush.
go. Yes. Yeah, they're really gonna tear up the Jets now. Woo!
Yeah.
And then I got Jake Browning at 13%. So we already talked about those. Those are some of the guys that for your deep cuts, man. It's a deep. It is very, very well deep cut, man. It's a very long haul, but yeah, I think that is there any other comments real quick before we end this segment and get on over to the bargain bins of the week.
Yeah, before we do a little shopping here, of these guys, I've said my piece about everybody else except Chase Brown. I brought him up briefly. He was in, I was thinking of him in my 5 as well. There's just too many good options above him. He would have probably been 6th or 7th on the list. Going forward, I would have him just in case. Joe Mixon takes, obviously he's an animal, but something happens to Joe Mixon, you got a guy in waiting, I think, can step in and do a good job with featured back touches. So if you have a roster spot, and especially if you're in a deeper league, I would find a place on your bench for Chase Brown and just sit around. You never know. Sit him around. People probably gave up on Zach Moss. The people that were like, oh, well, hey, JT's back. The 140-yard games are done and over with, dead and gone. Zach Moss is back in the feature role again. This has just been a roller coaster year for Jonathan Taylor. So something happens which is always possible, the Mixon. You got Chase Brown waiting, and and from what I was reading, he's going to be more involved in the offense. So going forward, there's going to be a lot. You're going to see a lot more Chase Brown. It was between him and Tucker Kraft for my riser of the week, the little segment I did before. So definitely high on Chase Brown. But that's it for the comments.
Yeah, if you think about it, Chase Brown is actually the last 2 years before he came out for the draft, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. In 2021 he was a 1,000-yard rusher. In 2022 he nearly had 1,700 yards rushing. He had 10 touchdowns, but the year before he had 5. So he's talented. he can, if he gets the opportunity to, I know we talked about him this summer. If you go back and listen to that preview, on the AFC North preview, we talked about Chase Brown. But yeah, I was hoping that maybe, Mixon got into legal trouble and kind of got booted out, and Chase Brown would get involved in the offense right away. But that did not happen. I think Mixon is on a 1-year deal, I think. So there's an opportunity for Chase Brown to maybe be a guy next year, possibly. So I think that's right. I think Mixon signed a 1-year deal, if I'm correct, but don't quote me on that either. So But yeah, all right. We will.
If nothing else, Jay, I think Burrow's. I was gonna say quick. I think Burrow's cap starts next year, like his big money, big contract he just signed. So I mean, they're gonna have to gut some of the team. I mean, they're probably not re-sign T. Higgins. Probably maybe have to move off Joe Mixon. So you got a ready-made running back, especially if you're in Dynasty League. You're gonna pay Chase Brown's gonna pay a lot of dividends. You pick him up now. If he's somehow available, you'll pay dividends.
Yep. All right. We will. I'm going to get this segment ended, and we'll be right back right after this. Boom. All right. We'll be right back, guys. Hang tight. You know what's funny? You know what we forgot while we were in our waiver wire? Probably before we get too far. We forgot to talk about the risers and fallers real quick.
What's that?
We forgot to talk about the risers and fallers.
Oh. Goody.
Yeah, we forgot to talk about risers and fallers. Donovan says conditioner's better.
That's fine. We'll conditioner's better. So I got these. I got these locks, Don. Well, Jay, you want to combine risers and fallers with the DFS segment then?
Yeah. Well, just rip.
Want to just fuse them together?
Yep, that's fine.
We'll do the spotlight after.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my fault. I'm
No.
like, oh. we'll let the big man go here first. So we pretty much got four.
Yes. So
I was just gonna say we got pretty much 2 risers each and 2 fallers each. So and we'll Eli will take her away from here.
Yeah, so I'll start off. I'll be on the right side, and then Jay's list will be on the left side. I'll start with Matt Stafford. I was talking him up. I'm on his dick, apparently. But talking him up the last segment. 7 touchdowns, 1 pick the last 2 games. Had at least 250 yards in both games, too. So he's cranking, man. Higbee isn't really a big. He might be out this week with a concussion, but I mean the tight end isn't really a big deal with the Rams. As long as you got Puka, as long as you got Cooper Kupp, Atwell and those boys, I think they'll be just fine. Stafford should be able to kind of keep this going. And so and Jay was saying he in the last segment, sleeper 50% available. I mean come on now, go and snag him up, get him now on the rise because before this, previous 9 games and he missed 2 of them. Previous 9 games. Or I'm sorry, I think he missed 1 game, if I'm correct on that. Had 9 touchdowns and 8 picks, so he wasn't doing much of anything. So I understand if people were kind of giving up on Stafford, but yeah, these last 2 weeks, been firing all cylinders. Another guy I have on the rise is Elijah Moore. Yeah, Cooper Kupp. Amari. I was thinking of Amari. Now you got me tongue tied here. Amari Cooper from Browns. He's another guy that might be. Questionable this week. Questionable who the quarterback's going to be. I tend to trust, trust Flacco more than I trust DTR or PJ Walker to get Amari Cooper the football. So, but Amari Cooper might be out. So, by default, Elijah Moore might be their number 1 receiving target, for this game. So, but anyways, Elijah Moore, 35 targets the last 4 games. So, I mean, that's an average of almost 9 targets a game the last 4 games. So he's getting looks. And, he's got 231 yards and a touchdown. The previous 8, only 270 yards. So he almost, the last 4 games, he almost has as many receiving yards as he had the previous 8. Didn't have any receiving touchdowns before that. And obviously some of that it could be varying factors. Deshaun Watson, when he was very inconsistent. They've had a revolving door at quarterbacks, so there's been other factors. But Elijah Moore, for the most part, is had a pretty decent year with the Browns. And the fallers, Drake London. The more I see of him, I don't know if it's all Arthur Smith in the offense. I don't know. You can only blame Desmond Ridder so much. You can only blame Taylor Heineke so much. The guy's had no touchdowns since week 4. One catch, 8 yards this past weekend against the Jets. I know the Jets have, that's the one thing the Jets do have is good corners, but this guy, he doesn't look like a number one receiver at all. I mean, he's not a bust. I mean, he had a decent rookie year, decent second year. I wouldn't call him a bust, but he's not living up to the hype. I mean, this guy was supposed to come in and be, a top 15 fantasy receiver. Hasn't been anything near that. So going down. And then the other guy, Austin Eckler. Oh, get him out of here. He's my new Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones. Austin Eckler. Awful. He has. I can't believe this. This is so this year of rushing. Yeah, you said it right. 0. Let me repeat this, Jim. A dead clock can get to 100 yards rushing just once a year. I mean, come on now. No rushing game. No games this season rushing above 67 yards. Let me repeat. No games this season rushing above 67 yards. This guy was coming into the year, he wanted that contract, and he was, widely considered. We talked him up in the preseason back in July and August when we did the Chargers preview. We talked him up too. He's supposed to be like a top 5 or 6 fantasy back. Yeah, get Daniel's name out of your mouth. Daniel Jones. I just said it again. None of it. But Austin Eckler, junk. Okay, so he'll get you a fair amount of points. But I mean, he was in the same discussion as CMC and a lot of these upper echelon back. I mean, I'd rather have DeAndre Swift, who you probably could have drafted late. I would have rather had DeAndre Swift this year than Austin Eckler, as crazy as that sounds. Like, Austin Eckler has been a major disappointment. But those are my risers and fallers.
The bad
That's what I think of Austin Eckler right here. Here we go.
The bad thing is I actually have one share of Eckler, and which is probably why my whole fantasy league or fantasy team is in the shitters. That's one of the bad teams that actually has Eckler on it. And I probably should have just it'd be funny if I just dropped. It'd be funny if I just dropped Eckler right now and see what happens. See what happens in the league. See if anybody just is like gets a little twirly tied and is like Austin Eckler.
Yeah. When they drop like a piece of bread or something in the Amazon, and all these what are those fish called? Piranhas. They all just kind of that's what's gonna happen in the fantasy. You drop them in a 12-man league, the other 11 guys are gonna swarm in and shit.
Yeah.
But he almost deserves it. He almost deserves being dropped for the way he's let everybody down this year. He almost deserves it. It's almost a fair ending to his year.
Yeah,
he's been a disappointment.
It is, and here let me look up here. I'll look up his stats here real quick. I mean, it's sad. Only one good game at the beginning of the year. 24 points, 117 yards, 1 touchdown. And then the rest of it, miss, 8 points, 5 points, 19 points, 20 points, 19, 6, 3. So, I mean, most of it, these little small.
A lot of that was receiving.
Yeah, nothing rushing.
And all,
so I mean, that's
all of it was nothing rushing. It was all receiving. So this guy can't run between the tackles anymore. And they have Josh Kelly, when they had him filling in, I think, I forget how long Eckler was out, 1 or 2 games or something. If I have that, I read through away my notes. But yeah, Kelly filled in. He ain't the answer. They need a big bruising. They need to just clean house at running back. They got to clean house at coach too, but they need a whole new running back room with the Chargers. Just junk.
Yeah,
get him out of here. Do your list. Get. I don't want to hear Austin Eckler's name the rest of the year. Don't want to hear him again.
Yeah. All right. So risers is Devon Achane. We already talked about him earlier in the show. I mean, he's got a good playoff matchup going for you. Chris Godwin is a faller for me. He hasn't been doing nothing. I have a couple shares of him, and he's just been obsolete. He's not been there. Hasn't been producing any fancy points, no touchdowns. It's like he's just been a ghost. He has, it's just he had no targets here this last week against Carolina, just zero. I mean, nothing. Just hell, I would at least take Palmer over Godwin at least, but my God, at least he's getting some kind of targets. And then my other riser is Christian Watson. We already talked about him. He's on the rise. He's had 3 touchdowns here the last 3 weeks. He's getting, his target share has been kind of rising too as well. And then I hate to say it, but Garrett Wilson is starting to be a faller for me. I mean, he's had 4 games already under 10 points. I mean, the other 8 games are above 10 points. So I mean, even though Garrett Wilson is electric, it's just he hasn't been putting up the touchdowns. I mean, he's been doing the yards wise, but he's only got like 1 touchdown on the season. Just one touchdown. It's sad, despicable, and
I'll comment.
Go ahead.
It's horrible. I'll comment on your 2 fallers because we haven't mentioned them all show. Chris Godwin, I have 1 share of him. He's been on my bench all year. I think I've maybe used him once. Okay, so Godwin, yeah. So it's time to Bucks need to move on from him. Fantasy owners need to move on from him. But it's hard because I'd say in a 10-man you could drop him. But in deeper leagues it's hard because who are you going to find that's better? That's the only issue there. But yeah, Godwin's definitely been disappointing. Garrett Wilson, I figured out what it was. It's a broken heart. He missed it. He's like, I was going to get to play with Aaron Rodgers. I was going to get to make the All-Pro team. I mean, how many we all did, even when Chad was on, beginning of this past spring when Chad was on with us, we all agreed universally Garrett Wilson was going to be at least a top 10 fantasy receiver, and just hasn't panned out. And I think it's a broken heart. I really do. I think he mopes. He probably puts his head, when you walk into your job sometimes you just mope, you just drag your feet. That's what he realized. Oh, I got to play with Zach Wilson this week. Probably this week I got to play with Brett Rippon. It's just, I feel for the guy.
I mean, he has amazing talent, but they just can't figure out what the hell they're doing with quarterback, and it's very, very sad. It sucks. It does. It sucks a lot, but it is what it is. All right, those are our risers and fallers. That should have been with the waiver wire, but it's all right. So we will get into some DFS now. We'll get that DFS line, get some of that DFS stuff for you, and then we'll wrap up the show with our college spotlight.
Yeah, give it.
Oh!
Yeah, what does Dion say? Play my darn theme music. Jay, hit that money bell.
There we go.
Money. All right. So I preface when nice, got the Gatorade there. Good touch. So I start this segment by saying that we are doing some shopping here. Okay, got my little shopping cart. Look at my little shopping cart there. We're doing some. Got both hands. It's very important. Keep both hands on the steering wheel. We're doing a little shopping. So I keep it under 5,500 because we got to find some bargains here. You can't have 9 tie, and I usually do the classic 9-man, the 50,000. And then I love DraftKings. They got a bunch of different options. If that's not for you, they have a ton of stuff. But that's just the one I go with. So the classic 9-man. And so we construct a team, but you can't have 9 Tyreeks. You can't have 9 Christian McCaffreys. So we got to build the team with some bargains here and there. So you can have a Tyreek that week. You can have a CMC. You can have a Keenan Allen. You can have a guy like that. So I keep it under 5,500. And let's keep let's keep the gloves on here. Let's keep it clean. Number 1, Jordan Addison, 5,500. I saw that and I'm like, yep, throwing that in the shopping cart. Boom, in. I put him at number 1. Guy's had he's been arguably the number 1 rookie receiver, and I think now that Tank Dell's gone, he is going to be the number 1 rookie receiver, no questions asked. Jefferson, we don't know about his health. I mean, I would assume he's playing this week. They just had a bye, so. But Addison's still a good play against the Raiders. I don't trust the Raiders secondary, so I'll put Addison number 1. Jonathan Mingo, he's not my favorite receiver on this list, obviously, but we're looking for bargains. And I think, Parker Washington could have been here too. He was only 3,000. He's another guy we've talked a bunch on the show tonight, or talked about a bunch. But Mingo 3,500 for the price point. I like it. You know what? There's a lady on YouTube that she always says into cart, and you know what? Jonathan Mingo is going into cart right there. Boom. All right, let's go down let's go down the next aisle. Oh, we need a running back. Okay, so we got our receivers out of the way. So we need a running back. Let's do a little shopping here. I saw somebody. Derrick Henry has a concussion, and the Titans are out of it. They're junk. So if there's a, I think they're 4-8. Their season's over. So don't risk it. If Derrick Henry, I was right now. So why play him this week? You're gonna lose. You're gonna get crushed by Miami, even if he does play. So let's give the carries to Tajay Spears. We both love Tajay Spears. He just had 75 yards being a complimentary back just this past week against the Colts. And Miami's defense, Miami is a lot of things, a lot of good things, but the defense is still a little iffy. So if Tajay Spears gets feature back numbers, I'd expect at least a touchdown. So we can guarantee at least that. Maybe a few catches. 4,600. I think that's going in the cart. I think that's a hell of a deal. Let's go down aisle 7. All right. Let's see. I see. Yes, we need a cornerback. Jake Browning. Again, he's popped up again. Couple other options here. Bryce Young. The Saints. I don't know what the hell the Saints are, but decent defense is decent. I don't trust Bryce Young against them. I saw Trubisky. He's under fit. He's like 4,900 or something. I guess maybe you could pick between Browning and Trubisky, but I think Browning's got more weapons. 52 has. It's hard to get a quarterback. Cheap. Most of these guys are, Jalen and Mahomes, Josh Allen, those kind of guys. They're all in like the 8,000 range, so 8,500. You ain't going to get them for this price. So I think Jake Browning worth kicking the tires on. And then number 5, and this has more to do with the injury to Tank Dell, because Robert Woods, John Mechie, I love me Nico Collins, but CJ Stroud's going to need another weapon to throw the ball to. And for the price point, maybe Tyler Conklin from the Jets, but we don't know who the hell is playing quarterback. Brett Rippon could be starting a quarterback. I don't trust him. So it was between Tyler Conklin and Brevin Jordan for my tight end. I like Brevin Jordan. He had a decent game. This past Sunday against the Broncos, and I think he's gonna have another decent game coming up here. So I'm gonna throw Brevin Jordan. He's on aisle 9 this week. I'm going to throw Brevin Jordan in the cart. And I think there's going to be another dub there. And because the Jets have no chance. The Jets might have decent corners, but Brevin Jordan's he's going to have his way. Him and Nico Collins are going to have their way. Jets, you put a fork in them, done, giving up, clean house. Bye, Felicia. And those are my DFS 5 to help you make a little money. Any thoughts, Jay?
Jordan Addison is not a bad play. I'd say if Jefferson does play this week, I don't know. I haven't heard anything yet if he does, or this would be a pretty good. They're playing the Raiders, so there's a good chance that Jefferson, if they tag team up with Jefferson, Addison will get some playing in there. Mingo against the over under of this game with the Saints is actually 40 odd points. 37.5. And I think they're at the Saints, I believe. Not a bad game. If it's indoors, this could be a back and forth game unless the Saints actually just ball out and just take it away. They'll have Winston, so maybe a good chance Mingo gets some catches up in there. Maybe he breaks away one and has a touchdown in this game. it's very, very well possible in this game. Spears, I like that. He's on Monday night against the Dolphins. 47 point total on that one. It's if Henry's not there, I could probably see the Dolphins just running away with this one. Spears, just being a little effective in this game a little bit because they have nothing else at wide receivers besides Hopkins, which is very, very sad. Browning, not a bad play. I think they play. I'm trying to see here quick. Oh, that's right. Are they on bye this? Yeah, are they on bye this week? I don't see it on the
No.
list.
Ah,
Oh, they play the Colts.
damn.
They play.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's like.
Yeah, they play the Colts. I got
it
it.
written somewhere.
Yeah, they play the Colts. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was
we
thinking of.
mentioned this game earlier. I think this
Yeah,
will be.
Colts. They just gave up. Colts just gave up 28 points to the Titans. You know what I mean? Like they're not great on defense, and they've given up a lot of 20+ point games. Browning. I'm telling you what, Browning might not have the yardage he did, but I think I could see like a 2-touchdown, 1-pick game. Maybe you're lucky and gets a rushing touchdown. That's 3 total touchdowns. I'll take that from a quarterback that cheap. I'll take that. Sign me up.
Yep. Then we got Texas and Jets, which is a 32-point game or 32 points over under. Yeah, it's probably going to be a garbage game unless the Texans can come out early and start doing something right away. I actually did start Brevin Jordan in one of my lineups here this last weekend. He didn't do a whole lot, but maybe with Tank Dell actually being out and CJ having to actually rely on him a little bit more, it's very possible Jordan can be sneaky in this game more than likely. Maybe for 50 some odd point or not points, 50 yards, 55 yards, couple receptions, maybe a sneaky touchdown. It's very well all possible. So I like it. Not a bad list for some guys actually. Not bad at all. All right.
Yeah. Well, with Jordan, I preface it. It's a sneaky touchdown. He's not going to get you the yardage maybe that Conklin would, in a similar price range tight end, but you're hoping Brevin Jordan can have one of those sneaky, 30-yard, 2-touchdown games or something where it's efficient. It's like 3 grabs, 30 yards, 2 TDs or something. That's best case scenario, but those are the DFS 5.
Yes, it is. All right, guys.
Spotlight next.
Yes. We'll hit up some spotlight. So stay tuned. We'll be back in literally 15 seconds. So just hang tight and we'll get into diving into our upcoming spotlight. Welcome back, everybody, to Auto Rhythm Fantasy Sports. Hopefully, you guys are liking this long marathon that we do every freaking Tuesday. But yeah, if you finally waited for us kind of diving into some dynasty kind of these guys who are drafting. Eli's looks like he's trying to bobsled over there with his bobbing skills. Hey, Jamaica, we have a bobsled team. I love that.
We the Jamaican bobsled team.
I love that movie. But yeah, we're
gonna fucking love Cool Runnings, man.
Yeah, right. It's an old ass movie. But we're gonna jump into Malik Washington from Virginia Cavaliers. But yeah, jump into chats. I know that we're gonna do some more college spotlights here probably in a couple weeks or so, and yeah, we're just gonna jump in. And I know my nuts are tasty, Donovan, but my God, they're kind of dilly. But Jesus Christ, don't be showing them off to the world now. But yeah, anyways, Eli, take it away, big boy.
That's a new flavor of nut. The dill pickle.
Yes.
All right.
It's been a while.
Got the blue light here. Got the blue light here. So doing a little spotlighting, and you know what? Nobody had really, unless you were a Big Ten fan, nobody had really heard of this guy. Even a few months ago, just kind of
he's not
had a couple decent, years at Northwestern. And it's a Power 5 school. Northwest is not anything great. I mean, they're probably most famous the last few years for firing the coach for hazing players or something. But yeah, so Northwestern not really known for football. But this guy here, after he transferred to Virginia, Malik Washington, yeah, I said it. Guy's been tearing it up. Jay's probably gonna have the statistics too, but this guy's the number 3, whatever you want to call it, fantasy. Yeah, number 3 FBS college football receiver, however you want to phrase it. But he's the number 3 guy. Just tearing it up. This year, got over 1,400 yards receiving, 110 grabs, nine touchdowns. Had a big, and he's they played some good ACC teams. He had a really good game against Miami. Louisville's been a top 20 program all year. I know they lost to Florida State in the ACC title game, but and grabs 155 yards in the tutty against Louisville. So I mean, he's had some good games against top level competition. Against Power 5 schools. Just go back and look. He's the 83rd ranked prospect. He was way down the list, way down the list. Because last year at Northwestern, a little bit less than 700 yards and 1 touchdown. I mean, that's not going to get anybody drafted. Not a Northwestern. Not unless they're a, DK Metcalf kind of prospect, just a freak. We'll ignore the numbers, but just draft him and hope we can work him into our system. Yeah, that's not getting anybody drafted. It was the transfer portal that made it possible. That's what I like about the transfer portal. Some people hate on it. That's what I like. Is you take a guy like this who would have been undrafted, maybe ended up in a USFL or ended up in the CFL or someplace like that, and instead, he could be the slot receiver for just about any team in the league next year. And he's projected to be a 3rd-round pick, 16th overall receiver, 83rd overall prospect according to Draft Buzz. So I mean, he's 5'8", 194 pounds. So there have been other guys. He reminds me a lot of Demario Douglas from the Patriots. I think he can do some like scat back things. Debo Samuel is like a best case scenario, but he's not as physical as Debo, not as big as Debo, doesn't block as well as Debo. So Debo, I think is a little out of, out of reach.
Ooh.
I mean, we forget how good Debo is or all the things Debo can do, but similar skill set. Similar skill set. I could, if Demario Douglas were to retire for some reason, I could see the Patriots just putting Malik Washington in that spot and be similar production. So that's to give you an idea of what to expect his rookie year, his size, his 40 time. That was just who he reminded me of. And then kind of a retro player he kind of reminded me of was Steve Smith. Remember Steve Smith from the Panthers and Ravens? Kind of a small guy, big, but he can go up and get the ball. I mean, he can target and he can. He's surprisingly, he 40 time is like a 4.54. So not a blazer, but some of these guys. I mean, John Ross. Remember John Ross couldn't play a lick. He ran like a 4.22. So some of these guys, just because they can blaze, doesn't mean that they're going to be productive as receivers. I think this guy is actually faster in pads because when I've watched the highlights of him, I mean, he blows by everybody. I mean, just finds a way to get open. He's tough. A lot of things that I like. I'd love him in Tampa. If we could get him in the 3rd, 4th round and replace Chris Godwin, I'm all for that. He comes down to Tampa. He can be my slot receiver any day of the week. And I don't know if that's where you're at. You're kind of leaning towards, production wise, size wise, skill set. Demario Douglas. I thought that was just the look that I got because I remember Demario Douglas at Liberty. And he obviously Malik Washington had more receiving yards, had more stats than Demario Douglas had at Liberty, but similar body type, similar skill set. So if you are drafting him in a dynasty league or you're looking at him in a if he's a free one of these guys we always talk about that, Chase Brown was a 5th round pick. Now all of a sudden he's a free agent and it's getting crunch time, and I can see this being Malik Washington next year. It being like week 9, week 10, and you need a receiver. He's on the waiver, and he's starting to tear it up. He's starting to get production like Gibson with the Jets. Guys like that it takes them a little bit to start getting the targets. Malik Washington falls in line with that. Those are just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I mean wherever he might land. I mean, if it's day 2, day 3, I mean Yeah, it's not a bad thing. I mean, who knows? We'll probably end up talking about him next year. I mean, you honestly you
Yeah, I
just
think we
never
will.
know. So yeah, it's crazy to think about. With him actually like, you know, his college offers were actually like Tennessee, App State, Duke, like Auburn, Indiana, Minnesota, Kentucky, Northwestern was one of them as well. And he didn't really look at Northwestern right away, and then he ends up, he didn't actually go on visits or anything like that before he actually just probably just made up his mind and signed with Northwestern and played with them for probably about 3 or 4 years before he actually ends up, Virginia. I think Virginia was on, was kind of offered him something too to come play with them too as well, and he ends up going to transfer to Virginia as well. So it was funny because we were talking a little bit earlier. I was looking up at Malachi, and there was another Washington kid out there with the same name, but he was actually a quarterback. So I was like, oh wow, we're talking about a guy that's just barely coming into the college aspects, but is ready going to the NFL already. It's like, what the hell, man? Um, but so I got his
Start
so
covering
on the
we'll start covering high school players on this show too.
right. So he was in the ACC is pretty much at the bottom. All at the bottom of all the ones that are highlighted is what he did in the ACC. So like 110, he was first in the ACC. He was actually first in the country as well for targets, yards, with 1,426 yards. He was first in the ACC, but third in the country as well. Receptions, I'm not sure. Receptions per game, he had about 9 overall when he was, each game he played. I'm not sure where that ended up. I couldn't find that part there. But he was averaging about 118 yards per game, which was actually second best in the country. And then receiving yards, he had 9. That was third best for actually in the ACC. So I mean, just in the ACC in general, he was actually just tearing up the conference, just up and down, and just taking chainsaws to people and like, hey guys, I'm the best. And then he was 24th overall in the country. Um, just kind of looking at some splits and stuff like that, because Virginia, I mean, they suck. They weren't really going anywhere. I mean, I think their record was like 2 and something or 3 and something. So, I mean, they barely won any games. And I was looking at their home splits, win and losses and stuff like that. At home, he actually played a lot better at home. The road splits, 51 receptions, 660 some odd yards so when they were on the road, I mean, he was kind of average. He played better at home than actually going on the road. Their win-loss average when they were winning, he was actually getting about 27 receptions, 339 yards. Compared to when they were actually down and losing, his usage actually spiked a lot more. So, and with Virginia probably not being that great or winning games or down quite a bit, that's when his usage was actually becoming a lot more useful when they were in losing situations. So he had 83 receptions, 1,087 yards. So when they were in losing, so I mean, just overall in general, I mean, this guy was pretty much just a dog. I mean, just looking at some of his route running and just his skills in general, which I'll get to a little bit more too as well. Um, I was kind of curious as to as well, just the splits with just the conferences in general. He actually tore up the ACC. The Big Ten kind of held him a little bit. The SCE or the SEC actually really held him to like 29 yards. And then the Sun Belt kind of kept him in check as well. So I mean, which is kind of surprising to see. Big Ten usually pretty good. Especially at the Sun Belt. I would think that he would. I figured with the Sun Belt he would actually just be tearing up. The teams that they were playing this year. But the crazy funny thing is he's actually had almost 100 yards every single game. He had 10 100-yard games, which is plain insane.
Yeah.
So if you're actually if you were thinking about, just if you had him in fantasy wise, he was actually the fifth best in fantasy overall, which is it's like, damn, dude, where in the hell did this guy come from? He'd be like it would be like almost kind of like playing with, him being with like the Cardinals, and the Cardinals just balling out, just playing from behind, and him just getting the receptions and just yakking up all those yards and whatnot. Um, I was trying to think when I was watching some highlights of him. He seems kind of small, nimble, but he almost kind of looks like a Chris Godwin to me. I mean, the way he kind of runs, because Godwin looked pretty damn. Godwin is a pretty good slot receiver too, as well, with the way he shifts and moves and stuff like that. So he kind of looked like a Chris Godwin. He doesn't really have the afterburners to really like, like get it done, but he's more of a short intermediate kind of guy, and that's what I thought he kind of reminded me of. Like, kind of looks like a Chris Godwin to me. But I know Draft Buzz.
You see why I picked him? See why I picked him? Secretly, I want Malik Washington as my slot guy. I want him to replace Godwin and be cheap labor. That's exactly. And I want him on my fantasy team too. That was a good observation from you.
Ooh, I see now. Kind of doing some eye spying over here. Now I'm really gonna have to keep my eye on
throwing in
this
an early pitch. Yeah, bring it.
Kind of see where he lands.
Come on down to Tampa, baby.
But like you mentioned earlier, he's 16th overall in the NFL Draft Buzz, 83 overall rank in general. His college snaps or college games, he played 52 college games. He actually had college snaps. He has 2,316 snaps in general. And he's also a dark horse this year for the Bitnikoff award too, as well. Just some things I've seen just in general with his game. I mean, he's got some great hands. I mean, especially with leading the, just the country in general with with just receptions. I mean, the kid's got hands. He's got some good hands. The other things I've seen that he can, with him being these little short intermediates, like little passing games, that he can actually make defenders miss. These little stop jukes, spin moves and whatnot. I mean, he's quick, nimble in those little short pass games. So I mean, he's got the agility to actually just outplay people at the line, and whatnot. And I don't think he was really playing a lot of teams that were really jamming him at the line of scrimmage anyways. So which is why he was actually open in a lot of these, pass plays, and, he was just blown by people where no one really just seen this guy. But his route skills are not too shabby at all as well. I mean, I was seeing a few highlights where, he cut one way, and then the ball, he shifts his body real quick, and the ball is actually just right on par, just, and that's as a part of the agility of him actually breaking away from a lot of these defenders, and and also depending on it, if he was actually in a winning situation or losing situation where a lot of these yards were coming into play. But yeah, like I mentioned, he's pretty much great at the short and intermediate passing game. And then it's kind of hard to find a con with trying to find a con if you with a player like this that's doesn't have really a lot of recognition, and the only thing that I seen from a few of the highlights that I seen, that he doesn't really have that giddy up to get that home run done, to take it all the way. He's kind of got that first, second gear, kind of toward that intermediate from what I've seen. So that's kind of what. Go ahead.
He's quick. He's not Tyreek quick. He's quick in a different sense, like he's shiftier, but he's not like straight line, like not going to run away from the defense, like you were saying. Doesn't have those afterburners. The other thing is, I would say blocking. That was kind of a weakness on the. You have like everything graded out, and that was his weakness, was blocking, and that's just what happens when you're his size, though. I mean, he's not a big 6'2", 215-pound receiver that can lay into you, or even like Hines Ward back in the day. He was stockier and thicker. I mean, he's a smaller receiver. It's going to be harder for him to pick up linebackers and safeties and shit. But yeah, I think that Tampa definitely in terms of like teams. Tampa for sure. I think he might Seattle. Being the slot guy in Seattle. Like if Lockett retires or if they move on from Lockett, those are just top two teams off the top of my head.
Tennessee needs some help, but I know they need some help down there. Tennessee is probably one.
Tennessee. Yep, definitely.
I'm pretty sure it's some other teams. Maybe the Panthers. I mean, they'll probably end up moving away from a couple guys. I'm sure. Just a couple teams offhand. Yeah, I mean, Tampa's not a bad situation. With Evans more likely leaving. Godwin, who knows about him? And then with Trey Palmer already being there. Not a bad situation to kind of get into. So, and yeah, Tennessee, I know really needs they need some help in the wide receiver aspect because they look gross. Yeah, with Burks not being there, I mean this guy could fill in there too as well. So I mean, the Titans could be a good fit for him. They kind of do a little bit more of the run game, but who knows what's going to happen there if Henry leaves? The offense might look way totally different, especially with Levis more likely kind of getting the reins. There's a good chance that this guy could fit in with Will Levis. But yeah, those are kind of my takes, I guess. So I don't know. I think maybe we hit a running back next week. I kind of want to dig into some running backs. I know. I'll come up with a name and see what you think. I want to dig into some running backs. But yeah.
You know what? I've been pretty selfish here. I've picked since we stopped doing the polls, I picked the last few players. So you know what? I'm gonna let Jake pick the player. And running backs. That sounds good.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting to do the poll part. So I mean, it's trying to want to get some more people involved. So I'll come up with a couple names.
Another sip of that Gatorade there.
So I'll come up with a couple names, and then I'll try to put them out there in a poll on X and see what happens. So we'll do that, and we'll kind of go from there. But we'll wrap up this segment real quick, and then we'll wrap up the show. So we'll be right back. Get this off the screen here quick. Where's it at? There we go. Oh, he already got her. He was ahead of me already. All right. We'll be right back, guys. We'll be back in like 15 seconds. Oh, all right, guys. It's been a marathon. It's always a marathon when you're with us, guys, because we always got so much information for you guys. Just try to cram into one show. It's already over 2 hours and whatnot, and I got a lot to do tonight as well as myself at work tonight. I gotta do some floor cleaning, get some, as you can say, spit shine the floors a little bit and whatnot. But I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about doing? Just recapping week 14. I don't know about maybe doing week 15 waivers or not, or anything like that. Maybe just do some recap the weekend, maybe do some spotlights or something like that. Your DFS. I don't know, haven't quite figured that out yet. So just some thoughts we could probably put out there.
And two, we might. I know, like I always say, I'm gonna try to do. It just doesn't work out. Sometimes you try to do to split this up, do a Monday, Tuesday, or do a last call show. I'm gonna try to. I'll see what's going on Saturday with us about trying to do a last call show since it is the week before the playoffs. And if you guys, it doesn't have to be like this kind of format. Like we're not going to be doing a spotlight or any of the other segments that we do. If we did a last call, like I said, it would be strictly it'd be a 30 to 45 minute show, and it would just be about questions about your team, setting you up for Sunday success. There's one game Thursday. There's the Patriots and Steelers. I'm not touching any of those guys. I mean, maybe if you got Jalen Warren or Pickens or something, Freiermuth, you kind of maybe you got to, but I'm not touching any of the Patriots. So or is that maybe Zeke? Maybe. Anyways, so that game's out of the way. So the other I think there's 2 Monday Night Football games this week. There's 12 on Sunday, 12 games.
Yeah.
So so there's plenty of football, and so Saturday we might do a last call just to try to help with if you have any questions like we did tonight. We had a couple things that like Jay would ask me a couple questions like the yes or no segment. So be a lot of that and last minute stuff to get everything buttoned up, and then if you guys have 6-7, 7-6, 8-5 ish kind of teams, or you're trying to get a bye. Maybe you have a 10-3 team trying to get the bye. So just depends where you're at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
we'll see about that. If we can, I'll have Jay put something up, and then we'll hop on here, and it would probably be before he goes to work Saturday. So it'd definitely be 7, somewhere in that range. Probably about 7 Central Time, and it would be it'd be a lot. We would call it last call. I'll let Jay just so Jay can get to work here. Try to wrap this up.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's just I know. I think we'll see what we'll come up with, and we'll at least do it. We'll be next week, anyways. Probably Tuesday, anyways. We'll do a show next week, Tuesday for sure. Probably just recap the weekend. We'll see what happens. Kind of go with the flow. We'll get some stuff figured out. I mean, I don't know how much playoff stuff we'll do. We'll probably leave you guys hanging there. I mean, I know we kind of want to dig into some more college spotlights, do some dynasty stuff and stuff like that. So I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. If you guys can convince us to actually continue, let us know in the chats or in our Discord. If not, we'll probably just hang it up after week 14, and we'll let you guys sail on, and you can let us know if you guys won your championships or not. So yeah, other than that, make sure you guys follow our the Discord is actually in the link, so get in Discord, join us, come talk with us, and it's another place to actually ask your questions to as well. We also got basketball, some hockey stuff, just a little bit of variety of other things in there, but a lot of more football, college stuff as well, and then make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Play as well. Make sure you subscribe on there and hit the bell for notifications over there. So when we release a pod over there, you can actually get it. And Donovan does do a little baseball too as well. We're slowly kind of working that into play too as well. So if you're baseball players or fantasy baseball guys, you can actually get a little in tune with Donovan too as well. I'm not sure when he will be doing his next pod yet. So we'll stay tuned for that. It might be this upcoming week yet, and I am not sure on that. So just stay tuned. We have baseball around the corner too. So football is kind of coming to an end. I know some of you guys are basketball players too as well. So, but baseball is around the corner. So, all right, guys. Is there anything else you want to mention real quick, Eli, before we get up out of here?
Nope. Yep. Just want to thank everybody that tuned in, and like I said, this show can be watched retroactively. Like I said, it's set up for the week. I know waiver claims are going in tonight for most people, but some people it's Thursday. We do a league with Jared. That's Thursday waivers, so it's not always Wednesday. Just thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll try to get more content out. And Donovan, go support him on the baseball side, and we might do some stuff with him in the spring too, leading up to the season. We might, because we are Out of Rhythm Fantasy Sports, so that's why we put the S at the end. We can cover a bunch of different things if we want. If we want to do a baseball stream, we can. If we want to do a football stream, we can. If we want to do a basketball stream, hell, we could do that too. So a lot of open ended. But yeah, no, have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. So we'll see you guys then. Laters.